Here's one reason I never buy brown sugar. After it's been opened for a while, it hardens into a brick. It cakes, it clumps, and if you were to try to mix these pebbles into, say, some softened butter like you would for cookies, they won't dissolve, ever. Instead, I use white sugar, which is more versatile, easier to measure out, and highly resistant to clumping. I use that in combination with this, molasses. I've always had molasses in my kitchen anyway for making gingerbread and, well, for making gingerbread. Years and years of basically only using it at Christmas time is how I know that it basically keeps forever. When a recipe calls for light brown sugar, I just pour in about a tablespoon of molasses per cup of white sugar. And I don't measure it, I just eyeball it. If you try to measure molasses, a meaningful percentage of it will stay stuck in your spoon. Yes, the sum contents of this measuring jug equal brown sugar. Don't believe me? Just ask America's sugar producers. The Sugar Association says molasses is extracted through the beet and cane sugar refining processes. In other words, it's a byproduct. And all sugar products in the marketplace differ only in crystal size or molasses content. Brown sugars are either made by directly boiling a brown sugar syrup or mixing white sugar with various amounts of molasses. They're refining the molasses out of the sugar and then mixing it back in again. So I'm just gonna do that myself. Now you might be thinking, but Adam, that's still not brown sugar. That's sugar with a glob of molasses on it. Well, yeah, but you would usually use brown sugar in the context of a baking recipe where you're mixing sugar in with a bunch of wet ingredients anyway, like in my broiled chocolate chip cookies recipe, linked in the description. But let's say that you did need perfect crystals of brown sugar by themselves for making, I don't know, maybe caramel corn or something. Get your food processor, put in your white sugar, put in your molasses, and just whiz it up. Again, I would do about a tablespoon per cup to make light brown sugar and 3 or 4 tablespoons for dark brown sugar. See, it's brown sugar. Now look, if you want to keep buying these boxes and buying them until they harden into bricks, knock yourself out. But the sugar and molasses combo is more versatile, it's easier to work with most of the times, I think, and it's definitely going to last in your pantry a lot longer. For me, the choice is clear.